Indonesian food is a bit like Italian food when it comes to regional variations and the influence of immigrants from other parts of the world. There are clearly influences here from both Chinese and Indian cuisines. This is a much more complex type of sweet and sour than you've probably ever experienced. It's deep and layered with many different flavors that kind of bounce around in your mouth, hitting first one note and then another. Of course, the preparation of this is more complicated than your basic Chinese sweet and sour dish, but once you try it, you'll find yourself making it again and again.
And the night before, or weeks before, or even months before, you put them on a wire rack and you put them in the oven at 80 degrees Celsius and you dry them overnight. You keep these in the refrigerator after they're dried in a little box, and they will keep for a very long time. And after overnight, you get these little dried, shriveled up sweet chilies. What you're going to do is pull the stems out of these, because these won't break down. They're going to be pretty tough. You know, we can cut up the rest of these. The rest of it's fine, just to get rid of the stems. Getting our preparations made. First step is get a ceramic dish, put some foil on it, oil the foil a little bit. These won't stick. Then I'm going to add frozen shrimp. I'm not even going to bother to defrost them. And of course, how much you use is how much you make is how much you're going to use eventually. You can save these once you make them. Now kind of close it up, leave a hole here for steam to vent out, and this gets popped in the oven. After about an hour and 15 minutes or so, with the fan running in there in the oven, you get these shrimp dried out, concentrated in flavor. Set these aside, let them cool off the rest of the way. Before we begin the rest of this, we're going to put together the water, the cider vinegar, a star anise, that teaspoon of tamarind paste. We'll leave it in here a little bit till it gets hot, and then the heat will melt it off the spoon. A little fresh ground white pepper, and 100 grams of sugar. And let this get hot, and as it does, this tamarind will come off the spoon. And bring this up to a simmer. Spoon will clean off here. There we go. Now we're going to keep this at a low simmer, kind of brew it for about 15 minutes or so while we begin making the preparations on the rest of this. I've assembled together the ingredients. There's the chilies we were just talking about. We've got some hot chilies that were also dried. Hopefully you dried these yourself, but if you have to buy the commercial product, oh well, that's what you got. These are red bell pepper, tomato, coarsely chopped onion. Here's the shrimp that have been concentrated in the oven, some ginger and garlic, and we're ready to begin. Into a dry pan, no heat at all, I'm going to put these chilies along with the seeds and the onion. Now the heat is on, and we begin to hear the onions and the chilies cooking. I've turned it on to 7 out of 1 to 10. It's going to take a few minutes to reach full temperature, of course. After about 3 minutes, you see these onions are starting to get a little bit scorchy. You don't want to burn anything. You don't want to burn the chilies, but you definitely want to give them some tone here. Now I'm going to add the coarsely chopped red bell pepper and tomato to this. After about 3 minutes, we're going to add a teaspoon and a half of salt to this, and then the chopped ginger and garlic. Continue cooking it. Still no oil in the pan. There's no oil in here at all. After 3 more minutes, I'm reducing the heat from 7 to 5, and I'm adding 30 grams, 1 ounce of those shrimp, those concentrated shrimp. Now we're going to continue cooking this. Still no oil, no butter in the pan. Okay, 3 or 4 minutes later, we've got this mixture with the tamarind. I'm going to remove the star anise now. Don't need that anymore. Add this to the pan to deglaze it first. Bring it to a simmer, and then we're going to puree it. After pureeing it, you return it back to the same pan again. Don't strain it, the whole thing, and continue reducing it. After 30 or 40 minutes, you get it down to where it's like this. It's almost like a jam. Now you can cool it off and store it. We can continue on with the recipe right now, or this could have been made in advance, and we can finish it like a day or two later with the fish. Now I've got, with the flour in there, I've got the dried ginger, turmeric, cayenne, salt, and now this is the magic ingredient here. This is what gives it its real distinction. Is, even though it's just a little bit, just a quarter of a teaspoon, it's very powerful. This is black cumin. And dry off your fish pieces. Put them in, toss them around. One of the things you need to do too is do this ahead of time. Let the fish sit in the flour for one reason is that, and this is after a few more minutes. See, now the black cumin is sticking to the fish. Initially it just falls off, but after it sits for a few minutes it starts to get sticky and tacky, and then it'll pick up the black cumin seeds. And when you're actually ready, add lime juice or lemon juice to this, and the heat from the hot fried fish will rewarm the sauce in case you made this like the day before or something.
Also look for my cocktail book, Cocktails of the South Pacific and Beyond, Advanced Mixology, available through Amazon online.